Hello everyone, welcome to the 17th episode of PAINTCULIAR with me Akin, which is part of this year's Halloween doll collaboration. Halloween has always been exciting because a lot of doll customizers here on YouTube come together with a big collaboration consisting of amazing works, and I am so glad to be a part of it. The collaborators of this year's Halloween doll collaboration are Jolly Crafts, Harley's Dollhouse, Hextian, Jackie O, me, Enchantarium, Dolly Pop, The Dolly Geek, Kira's Workshop, Moonlight Jewel, Valkyrie's World, and The Doll Fairy. Big thanks to Kira's Workshop for always being an amazing host. Okay, so for this project I was kinda set on making Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. I mean, if you know me, you can totally see me make Pyramid Head, but then I saw this post. I was like, oh, change of plans. Jason Voorhees is great. He is one of the Halloween classics, his character design is right up my alley, so I decided to make him instead. Sorry Pyramid Head, next year maybe. Also shout out to the person who commented that I would either make Pyramid Head or Jason Voorhees on my community tab. I couldn't find your comment, but whoever you are, you called me out right on the money. Good for you. Anyway, let's get started. For the body, I'll be using this WWE Seth Rollins action figure that I bought from Amazon some time ago before my finance went in shambles. Not only the Seth Rollins action figure was the cheapest I could find, this one doesn't really have molded clothes like the other WWE action figures I saw. Well, except the boots, but we'll be changing them anyway. The head is hard plastic, so I just use some force to remove it from the body and it pops off like this. Interesting. The knee pads are made out of vinyl. They aren't exactly removable, but we can cut them loose, which is what I'm doing here. For the base of the head and lower leg donor, I'll be using this Hunter Huntsman doll. I use this as a mannequin, but seeing I do body modification to most of my male dolls, having a mannequin is kinda unnecessary, so why not put it to better use? Let's prep the head to its bare base. Let's try putting the head on. It fits and the neck flashes around it. That's nice, and the color matching isn't awful. But there's this piece in front of the neck that prevented the original head from looking left and right. It's weird, why did they add this? We'll get rid of it later. Here I'm trimming some pieces from the head so we can start with a smaller base. I take out pieces from the sides and a small piece from the back. Then I drill into necessary parts and sew the head back together with some wires. Set the wire in place with epoxy glue. Now we can start sculpting. Lay down a plastic sheet on the surface you're working on so cleaning up will be a lot easier. The first pass is just to cover all the wires with epoxy. After that's cured, we can start adding more epoxy all around the head to define the shape of it. The crown of the head looks very incomplete, so here I'm gluing some aluminum foil to help bulking it up. Cover that with more epoxy. Moving on to building up the chin. This is looking like a head again, I think. Now we can start sculpting the features. I like to start with the nose because all the other features are radiating out from the nose, so it makes a good guide. I mushed 2 small blobs of epoxy to make the eyeballs. I just realized now you can't really see what I'm sculpting because it's out of frame. God damn it, sorry about that. This looks really freaky. Anyway, we can add materials to the forehead. I covered the mouth area with a layer of epoxy. I want one side of his mouth to be cinched up, showing some of his teeth, so here I'm sculpting that with a toothpick. Then the brow bone, I'm trying to make him have an angry expression. I also make one of his eyes to be droopier than the other. Add more material on the chin to make him have a butt chin for some reason. Roll a thin snake of epoxy to make the lips. And the camera is dropping. It's starting to look like a face, that's great, now we add the cheeks. Then I sculpt some face muscle details. Then the nostrils. And now the ears. From the reference pictures I saw, Jason Voorhees has a huge scar on one side of his head, so I'm gonna sculpt that. Though, I'm not really gonna make him bloody because you know what's scarier than blood? Getting demonetized. And we're finished sculpting the head. I tried to make him look kinda deformed, but he turned out kinda normal looking. I want you to go ew at first glance, but at the second glance you go, I'll try anything once. What do you think, did I capture that? Moving on to the body, the neck peg has a hole in it, so we're gonna conceal it. The neck peg is actually too big. I mean, sure the head can be put on with enough force, but since we sculpted the head, I'm not taking any chances. Gonna shave down the neck peg to make it smaller so the head can be attached more easily. Then I get rid of that weird little awkward piece. Alas, the head still crack around the neck. We can patch it up later, like way later when we're done with the body modification. Anyway, let's start marking and cutting the body into necessary pieces. Then I cut around the arm socket to widen it. This will allow us to make the arm bigger later. Let's take care of the lower legs. These are all the parts we need. Now we can start marking and drilling holes and then sew the parts back together with some wires, then fill the gaps with aluminum foil. Here's the new silhouette, set the wires in place with epoxy glue. Now we can start concealing the additions with epoxy. The first thing I'm gonna do is make the deltoids bigger because that's the only technical sculpting we have to worry about. Some part of the joint plate can be covered to achieve a more natural look. To do that, bend the shoulder like this and mark a horizontal line that's aligned with the base of the joint like so. I hope what I'm saying makes sense, or you can see what I'm doing. Then I glue a piece of craft foam, aligning it with the mark we just made. Now we can start building the deltoids bigger. Keep moving the joint as you do this so the articulation will still work the way it's supposed to. I took out too much material when I trim around the arm sockets, so I extend them again with more epoxy. Again, keep moving the shoulder joints so they'll stay articulated. Time for the fun part, cosmetic sculpting. I start by marking the guidelines. I begin with the neck muscles. Then the obliques. Then the pecs. I'm not gonna give him abs because I want him to have a beefier, stockier build, so I'm giving him kind of a belly. The base has a hip joint, which is a nice feature and I wanna keep that, so when I get to sculpt around it, I do it carefully as to not disturb the joint. Then we can add the collarbone. We're done with the front torso, let's move on to sculpting the back muscles. After that, I build more material around the waist to match the new torso. I tried to use a piece of plastic packaging as a barrier so the epoxy won't stick together, but I ended up just using an X-Acto knife to make sure the fresh epoxy I'm applying doesn't merge with the torso. While the epoxy is still wet, keep rotating the torso. It should look something like this, and would you look at that? The hip joint still works really well. Let's give him a BBL treatment. Moving on to transplanting the lower legs, as you can see here the knee joints are exposed, so I'm gonna glue pieces of craft foam to shield them from future epoxy. Then we can fill the cavities with, with epoxy. I wonder how many times I've said the word epoxy in this video. Before we connect the lower legs together, I want to build up the biceps. Let's drill some holes for the connectors of the lower legs. For the connectors, I'm gonna epoxy glue these acrylic rods which I already cut in size. I made gaps there to make the doll taller. Anyway, we can fill them up with, I'm not gonna say it, we can fill them up with the E word. Alright, we're almost done with the body modification. The forearms look quite small compared to the upper arm, so let's fix that. Put the head back on and patch up what's cracked. And sculpt the nipples, because why not? And we're done with the body modification. Let's remove the head again because I don't think I can continue working with the head attached to the body. Let's just hope it won't crack again. Before we get to sanding, I'm gonna make the base for the iconic mask now. I already cut out the shape out of craft foam, and using heat from a candle, I'm gonna mold it onto the face like so. Looks good enough, let's put it aside for now, we'll come back to it later. Now we can start sanding. I'm just gonna use some sanding sponge to prep the surface for priming and then painting, not making it completely smooth. This saves me time and energy, so it's great. Rinse everything thoroughly, let it dry, and now we can prime the doll. I gave the doll 2 coats of primer, it's looking pretty good. Also put something soft and cushy on the surface you're working on so the future paint won't get scraped off while you're painting the doll. Let's mix the paint. I want the skin tone to be undead, you know what I mean, like gray purplish color. I mixed the paint in a small plastic container to store it so I won't have to mix it again. Let's test it out. It turned out to be too purple, so I readjusted the paint mixture to be more grayish. "14 coats of paint did the job, now he looks like he's made out of stone, making him look like a gargoyle. Well, I guess that's better than looking like Thanos, but hopefully the shading will make the appearance better. I make it more purplish for the shading, I hope that will make him more corpse-like. I just shade following the contour of the sculpting, at least that's what works for me. He ended up looking like Drax the Destroyer, but I think it enhances the whole look, so I'm not mad. Of course we're gonna give him body hair, I mean that's like my trademark. With a thin brush I start painting hair strokes with light brown paint first. Then I go over it again with darker brown paint. I do that to most of the body, it's tedious. Paint the nipples. We're done painting the body, let's put it aside for now. Time for the face up. Most of you probably watch a lot of doll custom videos, you know how it's done, so I'm not gonna explain much about it. For the teeth, first I'm gonna paint them Naples yellow. Then I go over them with diluted black paint, quickly dab it off just to get enough of it to fill the crevices. Let's color the lips. Then the wound. The wound kinda looks like a vagina. Anyway, I'm gonna paint the mustache on. We're done with the face up, what do you think? For finishing, I'm gonna give the doll 3 coats of this matte top coat. Can you see the difference? It feels really nice to the touch now. I'm gonna glue on some loose yarn weft to make the eyebrows. I think the eyebrows make a huge difference. Okay, let's start gluing the beard. Repeat the same process for the other side. I gave him the mutton chops because I want the butt chin to be visible, but well, it doesn't really matter because he'll be wearing a mask that covers his entire face. Why did I even bother sculpting the entire head? I was debating whether or not to give him hair because he doesn't look bad bald. I ended up giving him hair. Time to make the outfit. The only green fabric I have is this, which is not the right shade of green, but my mom has some leftover that is in the right color, but oh my god, this fabric sucks. This has got to be the worst fabric I've ever worked with. It's springy and frays very easily. Well, that's great for this project, but generally this fabric sucks. Though luckily my sewing machine likes the fabric, so I proceed. Here's the pattern for the shirt. I'm gonna sew the front pieces to finish the plackets and hem the sleeves. Then sew the shoulder seams together. For the collar, first I'm gonna cut notches and glue down the bottom part, temporarily hemming it. Cut a piece of fabric that's as big as the collar piece and sew around it except the part we just glued. Trim the excess and cut the corners to release tension and turn it right side out. It should look something like this. You see the raw edges? That's the part you're gonna sew to the neckline. Now the raw edges of the neckline can be slipped into the collar like this, and to finish it, top stitch all around the collar. The finished collar looks like this. Let's attach the sleeves. Then sew the side seams together. To finish the shirt, hem the bottom. Obviously, the shirt is too clean for Jason Voorhees, so I use a rasp and a seam ripper to distress the fabric. For the pants, I'll be making them out of this lightweight denim fabric, and I'm gonna try to make them open in the front like real pants do, and here's the pattern. First, I'm gonna temporarily hem the front pockets by gluing them down like this. Then I sew it on top of a piece of fabric to complete the front pieces. It should look like this. Yes, the pockets are fake because I wanted to finish this doll as fast as I could. Let's sew the front seams together. From the bottom of the fly down to the crotch, do regular stitch, but from the bottom of the fly upwards, do basting stitch. Cut across the bottom of the fly and open up the seam so we can stitch the fly detail. Remove the basting stitch and flip the loose fly to the same direction. Sew the yokes to the back pieces and top stitch them. Sew the butt seams together. Sew the front pieces to the back pieces by the side seams. Hem the leg openings. Sew the inner crotch. Turn the pants right side out and we can add the waistband. I distressed the pants as well, and with diluted acrylic paints, I'm gonna weather the outfit, making them look worn and dirty. Moving on to the accessories, let's start with the mask. I already marked where the holes would be and then punched them out. Then I give it a paint job. Then I glue strips of dark brown vinyl to make the straps. And the mask is put on like this. For the shoes, I'm gonna give him this Porter Geyser shoes because I think the style suits the character. I was lucky because someone was selling these loose. Let's repaint them. For the machete, I got it 3D printed with resin. I finally 3D printed something, y'all. I'll put the link down in the description and we're going to paint it. I've heard people having a hard time to paint resin 3D prints and I'm no exception. The paint doesn't really stick well to the material, maybe I should have primed it first. To protect the paint jobs on all these pieces, I'm giving the mask, shoes, and the handle of the machete 3 coats of matte varnish. For the blade of the machete, I give it 2 coats of gloss varnish. And finally, we can call it a doll. To be honest, I don't really have any strong feelings about this doll. He suits the theme alright and that's about it. The mask is kinda in a weird shape, but you still can recognize him as Jason Voorhees, right? He's not bad, I don't hate the way he turned out, but he's not exactly one of my favorites either. What do you think? Do you like him? Do you not like him? Let me know your opinions in the comments down below. I was kinda rushing this project because I needed to finish it early. I hope it doesn't look like it. I'm still trying to reach my goal, so please consider donating through my Ko-fi page. Don't forget to check out all the other amazing dolls from this collaboration. This is the end of this video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. See you in the next one. It's not gonna be soon though, cause I'll be taking a break. Bye!